I'm Sean Kaufman, and I currently work as a blogger for DodgersWay.com, which is part of Fansided, which is a really cool fan-run sports blog community.
Okay, now how did you get started with that?
So my
Or more
friend,
accurately, why?
also a good question. My friend from high school he had sort of a journalistic background, like he wrote for the school paper and whatnot, and he actually wrote for this site and maybe a couple other baseball sites. And I didn't have the same background, no training or anything, but he came to me one day saying, "Hey, we need some writers, and you know about sports and can string a sentence together. You want to give it a shot?" I said, "Sure," and I submitted some of my work, and they liked it, and here we are.
Okay, so you say you know about sports. When did you become that guy that's like, hey, I know about that?
That guy, yeah. I remember going to my first Dodger game when I was 3.
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't remember a lot of it. It was a long time ago. But they're playing the Expos, which I think it's cool. I get to say I've seen the Expos, and I saw. He's like, I don't remember the game. Like it was yesterday. It was a long time ago. But I remember learning about Sean Green, who was real big in the Dodgers at the time. And
at the time, right?
My name's Sean. He spells it differently, but his name's Sean. My favorite color is green. So I thought, oh, he's cool. So I kind of, being a real little, I still sort of like got interested in learning about players and stuff. And then it's always just been part of my life since then. Like I played baseball until college, and I don't like I like playing sports, obviously, but also I became apparent quickly that I really like learning and reading about it as well.
Well, we have something in common. I grew up in upstate New York, and my first baseball game was an Expos game as well.
Oh, no way.
In Montreal, though, and I was I think 6 or 7. So yeah, it's the Grand Orange. Rusty Staub was playing first base. So it gets in your blood early.
Right.
Now, like you said, you played until you got to college. What made you think this is something I can pursue?
Well, it was actually maybe when I got this position or this offer from my friend to come write for him. I never envisioned myself being a professional writer or anything, but I thought, like, okay, I can just try it. Maybe it'll lead to some cool opportunities. And so far it has. I get to, think creatively about something that's really awesome to me, and people want to read it. And at the same time, it opens me up to other sports opportunities, stuff
Right.
like this show. I get to talk to other sports fans.
Cool.
And it's not my major at school, but my emphasis in the business program is sports management. So hoping to, continue in some sort of sport related capacity.
Okay, so we say for Fansided, you write for the Dodgers,
right?
Or write about the Dodgers. That seems to be an easy one because you, as you said, you went to a Dodgers game when you were 3. What other sports get you going other than baseball?
Baseball is my sort of my main deal. So I played for most of my life, and it'll always be like special to me. Although I'd say football is second. I'm a big, probably since around the same time, big Green Bay Packers fan. So it's been a rough week or so, but football and also basketball. I got into a little bit later, probably in elementary school or early middle school. And I was drawn to the Golden State Warriors because, so I'm also, I talked about I'm from the Los Angeles area and I write for the Dodgers. I'm also a big Oakland A's fan.
Okay.
Some people might think, you can't like 2 teams. Too bad. I initially liked them when I was little because, hey, they wear green. I like the color green. That looks cool to me. But when I got a little older, I started being able to appreciate, like, hey, the way they think about building a team is really interesting to me. Like seeing and reading Moneyballs. Like, I think that stuff is, the way they innovate. Everyone does all that stuff now. And their culture around the team and their fans, I think, is pretty cool too.
I think that we as fans, and I think we as people in general, if you're a normal person, you see two sides of the same thing. So I've always said I'm from near the Cleveland area, so I'm a Browns Indians kind of guy.
Mhm.
But if I have an AFC team, then I have to have an NFC team because they play different times and whatever they meet the Super Bowl. So
Right,
I
exactly.
would always have an NFC team, and I'd have a National League team and American League team. Indians were my American League team, so I had to find a team in the National League. It sure wasn't going to be the Reds, so I had to go find somebody outside of that area.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was the Pirates or the AFC or the American League team. Sorry about that. So when you look at the Dodgers and the A's, you have that dichotomy of they're in both different divisions or different conferences or whatever you want to call them, leagues. But you also have the idea that you have the freewheeling, money-spending Dodgers, and you have the other side of the coin of, hey, let's do this analytically and get it right because we don't have the money to spend. So it's nice to have both sides of that to kind of get a view of what baseball is all about.
Exactly, yeah. I will say, the Dodgers, they're really on top of it with their analytics too. But I totally agree.
Right.
It seems like, with the Hollywood lifestyle and the big payroll, like if any year they don't win the World Series, I mean, obviously they did. It came together. They have an amazing team. We can talk about that. But like if they don't win the World Series, it kind of seems like it was a letdown. There's always so much pressure with the A's. It's like, yeah, who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
So it's two different sort of mindsets with the fans, I'd say.
And like you said, the cultures of the Dodger dogs and all of that stuff where the A's is like, we don't even like our stadium. It's that kind of thing. So I like that. Okay, so looking at coming off of a World Series and the bubbles and all the stuff and everything and whatever you want to call it, how do the Dodgers set up for this next year, if there is going to be a next year?
Right, yeah, that's always something to think about. I'd like to think that the season will be more normal than last year. It's like you said, when you win the World Series, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape for the next year. It's obviously not the case, but like all the time, you might have a young core disappearing or whatnot. But teams more or less the same, and I think they're looking good. And I like their offseason plan so far. I like some of the bullpen moves they've made, like some interesting reclamation project kind of guys with Corey Knebel and Tommy Kahnle, who we've both seen what they can do when they're right. I'm not saying that they're magically going to be right, but the Dodgers do have a good track record with sort of working with guys like that, and if they're not healthy, then there's something you can do about that. But sort of getting them back in the right direction, like I did with Blake Trinan. They got more north and south action back on his sinker, like it was in 2018 when he was completely unhittable.
Oh yeah.
I do hope they figure out a way to get Justin Turner back. I see it happening. Like I would assume both parties are wanting to make that happen. He's obviously a great hitter, but I feel like his presence in the locker room is just as important to the team, probably. I am a big fan of Edwin Rios, and I hope he gets some meaningful at bats. But I think bringing Turner back nothing bad can happen with bring back Justin Turner.
Did Kiki Hernandez? Did he actually sign?
Yeah, he signed with Boston in the last week. Which
I
hate to see him go, but at the same time, I do like he's probably going to get a lot more at bats up there.
Right.
And kind of get to see what he can do as a regular-ish player. But yeah, even when he's not producing, he's fun to have around.
Right. Well, now you were mentioning the bullpen help. Where do we see Kenley Jansen, or how do we see Kenley Jansen?
That is an interesting question.
Okay.
I feel like he will start in the closer role, but maybe he's got a pretty short leash on him.
Okay. Well, the comparison to Jansen is, and I'm going back a ways, but that dominant reliever doesn't always stay a dominant reliever for 7, 8, 12 years.
Right.
With the exception of maybe Mariano Rivera, it's kind of hard to see that guy be that just drop dead guy. And the Dodgers have the history of that with Eric Gagne, who was, lights out for 2.5 years and then almost out of baseball, 6 months later. So I can say Jansen's had a good run, but I
Oh
can
yeah.
see with Trinan and a couple other people, I like you said, I can see them changing that role. Maybe it's co-closer or whatever. But the thing about the Dodgers that they always seem, the least they've had the last few years, is that versatility, that interchangeable. We can do this. I've got guys that can play first base and outfield, third base and shortstop, and second in here, and they can move guys around to whatever works for them. So, again, as you said, Kike Hernandez hurts leaving, but you still have a lot of guys who can play multiple positions. Um, is that always a benefit, or is it kind of tough when it comes to contract negotiations and guys being eligible to leave?
I will say it can cause some trouble there about guys leaving. But yeah, having a bunch of guys who can do a bunch of things. I mean, I never think you can have too much of that. Like we got Chris Taylor and Evan Rios still can kind of mix and match with, and Zach McKinstry might get some more at bats now. But with the bullpen, like you said, you got a bunch of guys do a bunch of different things. If Kenley is shaky to start the season, or maybe they won't even go to Kenley in the closer role at the beginning. I'm not sure. I feel like maybe his name value and like his tenure might kind of shoehorn him into that role. I could be wrong. I'm not in the clubhouse with them or anything. But they've got plenty of other guys who have and can close games, like Trinan counted on in the playoffs a little bit last year. Of course, and he's only a couple of years removed from arguably the best relief pitching season in a very long time. Gratterall is still figuring out some stuff, but he's incredibly nasty. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out. In fact, he had the lowest strikeout rate in the National League. But I feel like the strikeouts will come more with him. Same with Dustin May. They throw those. We think of those two seamers as being like so nasty when he strikes someone out and you look silly, but actually it stays in the zone longer than a regular four-seam fastball. So they induce a lot of weak contact and ground balls, which you might want to think of your closer as striking everyone out, but if they induce a bunch of weak ground outs, I'm sure that's it could be worse.
You've got a solid defense behind you, so right.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true.
Well, now it's something you mentioned with Oakland. Let's apply that to the Dodgers, because as we've said, they do have a large payroll, but with all the interchangeable parts in what they do, they almost seem like they're playing a Moneyball kind of a game.
They kind of are. Like I said, I would say every team has kind of adopted, at least to a degree, a similar mindset. I mean, look, the Rays have even taken it. They're more. You could argue they're more Moneyball than the A's now with the way they manage their rotation and bullpen. But I don't think it's like the way of the future anymore. It's just the way.
The way, exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys who, like when they're first coming up to the big leagues, they're learning a bunch of new positions just so they have a better shot of staying up. Like it's kind of expected to you, like, okay, well, if you play second, you're going to play short, which used to not be too big of a deal, like unheard of. And now you're probably going to be thrown in corner outfield or even center now, which I do think sometimes like it could be a mistake trying to stick someone where it doesn't belong. Like the Pirates, you probably noticed they stick Cole Tucker in the outfield a lot, and he's not having a good time out there.
Right.
But I wouldn't try and force it. But yeah, versatility is definitely really valued in today's game, and the Dodgers are doing a really good job with it. Like they've got kind of basically like a righty lineup and a lefty lineup, defensive versatility.
Well, you have a catcher that can play. You have a catcher that can play second base.
Right, Nelson Barnes. Yeah.
So you can kind of move them back and forth, pinch it here, move guys around, get double switch, and we still haven't lost a catcher because he's still in the game.
Right.
A lot of things can happen that way. Now let's move up the coast to Oakland, and we're talking about the pure money ball. What do they? And I don't want a whole big overview, but just what do you think of what they're going to do this year as far as being able to be competitive? Because that's been a little tough for the last couple of years.
Right. I think you said it right there. They will be competitive. We have had a bit of a history of heartbreaking playoff defeats, especially against the Astros. It was like salt in the wound there. And they are, at least as of now, definitely not as strong of a team as they were last year. They lost some big pieces in free agency. That's kind of a curse about being an A's fan. It's like, oh, we got this. Well, I guess this case it wasn't homegrown talent. We're like, oh, we got a young up and coming player. What are we going to get for him in his contract year?
when he's let to go, right?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised they weren't able to bring back Simeon because he's a Bay Area guy. He's from the East Bay and he went to Berkeley, and I know they really like him in the clubhouse. But at the same time, I'm okay with them not paying him more than $18 million a year. I've only been to one A's game at the Coliseum, and he had 2 home runs. So at least I got to see that when he was here. One of them was a grand slam. Anyway, I would have thought they would have gotten him or Liam Hendricks back. It was definitely probably ambitious to expect both, but lost both, and then it was a much smaller piece. But they lost Tommy La Stella to the Giants, so he's not a huge name. But I really like him because he puts the ball in play, unlike basically anyone else in baseball these days. I still think they've got they've got great corner infield and some interesting pitching prospects, but and like I said, I think they'll still be good in the division, but they did take a little bit of a step back from last year.
But the thing with the A's is they're almost impossible to predict at this time of the year, because you don't know who they know or who they believe is going to step up and be ready to play. Again, if you would have said, Marcus Simeon 3 years ago, went, who?
Exactly.
Where's he play? And now, you see this crawl across the screen, you go, he signed for what? For how much? Are you kidding me? And it's not that it's not deserved. You just go,
oh yeah,
I never heard of that guy before.
And
Hendricks is another one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember when he got penciled in as the opener against the Yankees, the wild card game a couple years ago. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, he definitely changed his game around. And then Marcus Simeon, he used to be like a horrific shortstop, but now he's like a regular Gold Glove finalist. Yeah, there is that sort of air of like, who's going to step up? Last couple of years, if you look at the numbers, Mark Canha has quietly been one of the best corner outfielders in baseball. So I feel like he might have a bigger role in the offense, assuming they don't trade him, because he is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, I believe.
Well, the thing with A's is they don't need a guy that's going to hit 40 bombs and hit 330. They need a bunch of guys that hit 15 bombs that hit 285.
Mm-hmm.
If they get that, which is what they're good at doing, and they get their pitching, and everyone plays above average defense, they get the job done. And you just can't really tell that, which was an unfair question for me to ask you, to tell you the truth. You really can't tell that at this point in the year because you don't know who it's going to be. But even before the All-Star break, you're going to say, oh, they're the A's again. Now, is that enough to get them over the top? I don't know. And I guess that's kind of the question that we always ask ourselves. When you're following the team, and you just come off the Dodgers with a World Series win, when you're following the team, what is a successful season for you, the fan, or for the people you're writing for? What do those fans see as a successful season?
I think it really depends on the team's expectations going in. Like I said, it seems like the last couple of years it's been World Series or bust for the Dodgers. Like it's kind of a running joke. Like, oh, you've won how many divisions in a row without winning? Okay, well, we can quieted that for now. But it seemed like the A's, I would say they have a much bigger sort of like window for success because their expectations aren't as high. Losing in heartbreaking fashion in the playoffs is, it's no one's first choice. But at the same time, like, I think getting there is a big accomplishment. Like this Packers season, losing in the conference game again. They had the same record as they did in the previous year, but at the same time, people might have not had they thought the 2019 season was a fluke. And I would say, even losing to Tom Brady in the playoffs, I'd say it was a pretty successful season. I think you gotta gauge the expectations going in, and you can't expect every team to win every year.
Well, you actually, I'm supposed to be the king of the segue, so you took my thunder there. If I just let you know that. That was my next question was, okay, so you go to the Packers season. I'm a Browns fan, have been since, 1970 something or other. Dating myself a little bit. But the idea being, even in the lean years, you're still a Browns fan. Now, I was a cynic this year more than I've ever been because you're used to that. It's not going to happen. They had a good game. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get thrown out of the league. Something's going to happen, and they're not going to get to where they got to. And they got to where they got to, which is a level they haven't been in quite some time. Then they won a playoff game, and now it's like, we can win the Super Bowl. It's like, guys, tamp it down a little bit. It's great that they beat the Steelers, which is a great thing, but let's not get carried away. But when you're the Packers and you've got Aaron Rodgers amongst other people, your expectation is, can we win it? And when they don't win it, now where are you?
Right. As a non-Brown fan, for me, like looking at your season from the outside, it's a hugely successful season to me. Like maybe you guys are sick of not getting there for so long, but winning a playoff game, it's a big deal. But and there's a lot of people who argue, like, you've only won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, and we've only won one, but that's one more than most teams have in that span. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong on the way to get into a Super Bowl. And like if you look at the one time they advanced with Rodgers, he didn't even play a good game in the conference game. He threw, I think, 2 interceptions without a touchdown.
Right.
A lot of variables. Like you can be a really good team and not win anything. I'm not saying it's sort of makes up for never winning anything. Obviously, that's still the goal, but I think holding a team to such a high standard, any team, not necessarily the Packers, like things happen that it's never, the best team doesn't always win. It might play a bad game, or fluke injury might happen. There's a lot that factors into winning a championship.
Well, here's the thing that kind of we feed into, or we feed off of, I guess, with the Ultimate Sports Network, is it's that passion of the fans. And if you're a fan of the Minnesota Twins, you can say, well, we're not, but you've won a World Series. You've been there with multiple groups of people. You're a fan of the Blue Jays. Well, no, you're getting better now. You're getting close. The Tampa Bay Rays. I still want to call them the Devil Rays. Sorry about that. But you can say, hey, if it hadn't been for the Blake Snow, don't want to get into that. But it's the idea of you were close. But then you have the flip side. Again, being an Indians fan, we were lost in the desert for decades. Then in the 90s, we had what was arguably the best team in baseball for like 2 or 3 seasons and didn't win, but we made the World Series. And I can tell people completely without any doubt at all, my team made the World Series and I'm happy. Did they win it all? No. But they made the flipping World Series. If you would have went back 20 years from there, you said, they suck. I'm still a fan and I go to the games, but they're awful. Did they make the World Series? And they go back again. Did they make the World Series a few years ago? Didn't win it. At that point, I went, they should win now. But in the 90s, I was just happy they got to the playoffs and got there. So that passion of fan bases, again, you're in LA, the LA area. It's not like the Angels don't have people coming to games.
Right.
And they're not coming just to see Mike Trout. They're coming to see the Angels. You've got the Rams and the Chargers now. People are coming to games because they are fans of the team, not just because, hey, someone threw out some discount tickets. I have a chance to go see my team play. So the part of what you do as a journalist is really impressive to me because you're able to say, I'm going to write for the Dodgers. Or they told you to write for the Dodgers, however it works out. But I'm writing for a team that has a passionate fan base. But if you're writing for anybody, the Astros, for example, let's throw out whatever happened in the banging of trash cans and all that. But remember, that was the worst team in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Not that long ago. and they still have a fan base. So
They were bad.
on the yeah, really bad, right? On the journalistic side of things, this is what's so fun. And if this is a path you choose to go down, understand you're going to have people that love what you do and love their team. And you're going to have people that turn on you a dime and hate you for one thing that you write. But then you write something else the next day and they'll be fine with it. So it's been great talking to you about these things. Where can we find you on social media and all that stuff?
You can check out my articles at dodgersway.com, and then I am on Twitter as SMK_Sean, and then on Instagram as Sean.Kaufman.
Okay, we'll make sure we get that all posted. People get a chance to see that. I wish you well on your journey. It's believe me, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and it's harder than you might think it is, but it's also, I'm talking about sports. How tough can it be?
Yeah, how can you go wrong with that?
That part is easy. So I had to watch my team play today, and I didn't have to go, dig a ditch or shovel snow or something like that. So it's not a bad thing. So Sean, I appreciate you being on, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, sir.